When you've done something so egregious that you've got both Democrats and Republicans coming together to put a bill in to stop you from doing what you did, you know you screwed up. So this video, I'm just going to try to spread the word about a bill that I recently discovered. It is HR 6186. It's a good bill. I support it. This was basically done as a reaction to Beaglegate. If you don't know what Beaglegate is, that's when the White Coat Waste Project uncovered documents that there was experiments done on beagles funded by this doctor. Let's see, I've got his name in here somewhere. I don't know if anybody's heard of him, Dr. Anthony Fauci. All right. So these experiments were done with the funding of the NIAID, run by Dr. Fauci, and he has the final say as to what experiments get what funding. And what they've uncovered is 6 experiments done on beagles. And by the way, this White Coat Waste Project is a nonpartisan group, and their sole focus is on uncovering animal abuse within the government. It's a little bit sad that they have to exist, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that they've uncovered it. So they uncovered 6 different experiments so far. They say they're working on others through FOIA requests of these experiments that were funded on beagle dogs by the NIAID. And some of these are pretty egregious. I'll just touch on some of them real quick. But the one where they strapped a capsule with infected flies on it and let the flies chew up the dogs, that one was $18,430,917. Another one, they gave the dogs experimental drugs, and when they were administering these drugs, some of the dogs were vocalizing in pain, which, if you don't know, some drugs can be painful, especially injections and things of that nature. Certain ones can cause a fair degree of pain. That one cost $424,455. The third one here, which is where the main images came from, the images that most people saw. Basically, this was in Tunisia, but it was funded through our government. In this experiment, they sedated the beagles and they put their heads in a mesh screen, and they had a bunch of sandflies that were previously starved. And they put the sandflies in there with their head locked in. So the sandflies would basically eat their head alive, more or less. This one was to study leishmaniasis. This one cost $375,800. And this is kind of the real visual one that got everybody pretty upset. Fourth experiment, another one where they were force-fed or injected experimental drugs. And these dogs were also vocalizing, probably due to pain. And so they performed a chordectomy on these dogs. They took out their vocal cords because they didn't want to hear them barking in the lab. And that one cost $1.68 million. A fifth one here, they infected the dogs with ticks, put 250 ticks on each dog. This one was to study ehrlichiosis. They said it was a mutant version of ehrlichiosis. And ehrlichiosis is already pretty nasty as it is. So to have a mutant version on them is pretty gross. This one was a long-running experiment, cost $5.6 million total. And then the last one that I have here is the beagles were infected with heartworm. The heartworms were in them for 6 months, and they killed the dogs and saved the worm. They euthanized the majority of all these dogs. I don't think any of them were adopted out or anything of that nature. I think all these dogs were killed so that they can further investigate what happened to them with all these different drugs and the different infections that they gave them. But if you don't know what heartworm is, heartworms, as the name sounds, they are worms that they live in the heart and lungs of the dogs. That's pretty common here where I'm at in Florida. It's easy to prevent, but pretty common. So that's these experiments. These are all taxpayer funded. This is all funded by you and I as citizens of the US. We should not stand for this, and we should support this bill. It is HR 6186, called the PAAW Act, PAAW, PAAW Act of 2021, Preventing Animal Abuse and Waste Act of 2021. And I'll just read through some of it. This is a bill to amend the Public Health Service Act to prohibit the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases from conducting or supporting research that causes significant pain or distress to a dog and for other purposes. It's a very short bill. Anybody can go on and read it. The definitions here: the director of the institute may not conduct or support research that causes significant pain or distress to a dog. And then they go through definitions, what they define as pain in the dog, the applicability, the timeframes, and all that kind of stuff. It's a very short bill, very to the point. It says they have to report back to Congress to show them that they are phasing this stuff out. So this bill definitely doesn't address everything. It just addresses that problem with the NIAID doing experiments on dogs. But it's a step in the right direction. I support it. Anything we can do right now to help the animals, we should be doing. And I discovered this because The reason I found this was I was doing a little research on my congressman, Congressman Brian Mast, District 18 of Florida, and I saw that he had this on there. And then he also had other legislation called the Kitten Act, where he was trying to get the USDA to stop experimenting on kittens. The USDA voluntarily stopped before they had to put the bill through, and they got all the cats adopted out. Pretty gruesome experiments. They're disgusting. So reason I'm making this video is just to spread the word. HR 6186. If this one doesn't get passed or whatever the case may be, then we as the taxpayers should hold them accountable and make sure that something gets done about this. So if you can, spread the word. Let's get the word out there and let's stop these disgusting experiments on dogs.